I swore that I would.
Are you Baelor Targaryen?
Game of Thrones was more like a phenomenon than a show. Everyone, everywhere was talking about just one thing: the Seven Kingdoms, the Iron Throne. Strangers became allies over mutual fandom, and friends became rivals when they didn't support Daenerys. We know we made quite a few of those. However, ever since Game of Thrones ended, with a deeply controversial and frankly blasphemously disappointing series finale, there's been a sense of void, and no amount of new, albeit great TV shows can fill that void. However, after a couple of years, the same grandeur and dragons in all their glory ruled our screens once more when House of the Dragon dropped in 2022. It wasn't just a joyous moment for fans, it sowed hope to see more of these majestic tales. To our delight, yet another series in the Game of Thrones franchise, and more specifically in George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire universe, has been announced. It's written by Martin himself along with other screenwriters like Ira Parker, Aziza Barnes, and Annie Julia Wyman. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms promises to bring the enchanted world back to life in all of its splendor. However, don't get your hopes high on the loftiness that the last two shows exhibited. We're going to explain why that is in just a couple minutes here, but before we get into things, we do have a very quick request. If you enjoy this content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. What is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms? The third show in the Game of Thrones series is set to be a prequel, and it's based on Martin's chain of fantasy novellas, The Tales of Dunk and Egg. The actual stories revolve around Dunk, aka Sir Duncan the Tall, who's about to be the future Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, and Egg, the royal heir to the Targaryen throne, King Aegon V. The events pan out about a century before the infamous feud for the Iron Throne began. Martin published 3 installments under this brand, namely The Hedge Knight in 1998, The Sworn Sword in 2003, and The Mystery Knight in 2010. He had plans to continue the stories and adapt them to the screen, and finally, in April 2023, the TV series adaptation of his books was greenlit by HBO. The creators have decided on their leading stars, with Peter Claffey as Dunk, the Hedge Knight, and Dexter Sol Ansel as Aegon V. What houses can we expect to see? Owen Harris and Sarah Adina Smith are ready to don the director's cap and bring back many of the famous houses from the original Game of Thrones. From what we've seen of the list of cast and characters available as of now, we can definitely expect to see the golden banners with black stags again, apart from the obvious Targaryen house flag. Moreover, we might also be sporting some lesser-known houses like the House Harding, House Fossaway of Cider Hall, and House Dondarrion of Blackhaven. Coming to Dorne, we're not really sure if we're going to witness the House of Martell because the cast lists only Tamsin Crawford as Tansel in the role of a Dornish puppeteer. We know that Dorne was never truly conquered by House Targaryen, so this series might throw some light on how and why the House of Martell emerged as the rulers of this part of Westeros. Other places that might gain importance in the show are the Reach, which is one of the wealthiest and most populated regions in Westeros. This is further confirmed by the fact that Steve Wall is supposed to play the Lord of Highgarden, which means the leading house of this area, House Tyrell, might also get some screen time in the show. Ashford, who's also controlled by the Tyrells, could be mentioned, but in a meager way, since Tom Vaughan Lawler has been chosen to play a steward from this settlement. Again, the rise of Ashford into a vassal house holding allegiance to the Lord of Highgarden might be explained in this series. A whole lot of Targaryens. While the House of Dragons has taken us on quite a deep dive into the Targaryen lore, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is about to get even more extensive. First off, we should be ready to meet 2 new members from the House of Targaryen, Prince Aerion Brightflame Targaryen and Prince Baelor Breakspear Targaryen. If we think along the lines of the first book, Prince Aerion could be seen as a rude, spoiled royal who believes all to be inferior to him. He would be playing Egg's older brother, who likes to call himself Aerion Brightflame or Aerion the Monstrous. It's pretty clear from the choice of his monikers that Aerion thrived on a sense of entitlement and Targaryen arrogance, with all the negative traits needed to make him a perfect antagonist in this adaptation. Aerion often considered himself to be a dragon in human form and was the epitome of the madness that runs in Targaryen blood. Finn Bennett is about to make Aerion come to life on television, and let's just hope the young actor makes his mark. From the very beginning, his two-faced insanity would be quite visible, and he, as far as we can assume, would have a very nasty relationship with Dunk. As seen in the trailer, he was already demeaning Dunk as a stable boy. Next up, we've got Prince Baelor, the firstborn son to King Daeron Targaryen II, who serves as his father's hand. He's the rightful heir to the throne and is Aeg's uncle by blood. Baelor is described as the complete opposite of the other Targaryen boy. He's humble to look at, and he wears simple brown and green clothing. Baelor is wise and kind, and he's rightfully named after King Baelor the Blessed. Given that Baelor would be playing Aerian's uncle too, the dynamics between them could be rocky owing to their contrasting personalities, and he's likely to be on Duncan's side. We know. We're coming to Baelor the Blessed. He was the 9th in the Targaryen line and the great-grandfather of Daeron II. If you're itching about who King Daeron II was, we'll save you the Google search. He was the 12th Targaryen to sit on the Iron Throne and was known for bringing peace to the world. But wait, there's one more. Prince Maekar Targaryen, the 4th son of King Dagon II, who would go on to become King Maekar I. He's the father of Aeg and Aerion and the younger brother of Prince Baelor. Maekar is known for being harsh, impatient, and unforgiving, and he's a powerful and mighty army commander. As far as Aegon V is concerned, he did become a king, but it'll be interesting to see how the series chooses to depict the details of his childhood and family ties. What about the iconic title sequence? Well, we're sorry to disappoint you guys, but unlike the otherworldly animation and dramatic orchestral opening, which hooked us from the very beginning of each episode of Game of Thrones, a king of the Seven Kingdoms has decided not to walk the same road. Instead, the makers are choosing to include a simple title card with a medieval font at the start of every episode to stay closer to the novels. As much as we're excited to see another magnificent story, this is a sign to keep our expectations in check because this spin-off is clearly going to be a lot different from all the glitz and glamour we're used to. You see why we said not to be overexcited about the grandeur? According to the father of the novels, a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is not supposed to be on a scale as massive as Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon. It ought to be a character-driven story, and in the end, it came down to Dunk, who's plain and doesn't have much flash about him. Parker states that not having a title sequence was an extremely hard and stressful decision. In his words, "It was not entered lightly, but it serves our show." Well, a little change never hurts anybody. Let's wait and see what the creators have in store. Who is Sir Duncan the Tall? If you're thinking he's some nobleman with a long line of family names and treasures, you're gravely mistaken. Dunk is a squire to a hedge knight and served Sir Arlan of Pennytree ever since he was a young boy. This nobleman bestowed him with knighthood, and Funk has learned only one thing in his life: to serve justly and protect the weak. After his master dies, Dunk becomes a wandering protector of the realm, not bound to any particular house. He soon meets Aeg, a petite bald boy who's actually a runaway Targaryen royal and presents himself as an orphan boy. Aeg develops an uncanny friendship with Dunk, fixated on becoming Dunk's squire. With just a wooden shield, a rope, and 3 horses, Sir Dunk and Aeg reach the Ashford tournament, where they meet a horde of other characters including a blacksmith, Tansel, and Sir Lionel Laughing Storm Baratheon, among others. Dunk has nothing but his strong morals as a knight and his innocence, with which he's forced to navigate the insane world of Westeros. Dunk's character is envisaged to become an idol of perseverance. According to Parker, he has no fixed destination, but no matter what, he just keeps going, and that is his only superpower. Where does a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms place the Targaryens? This particular spin-off would be taking place well after the events of House of the Dragons, whose 3rd season is yet to be released. It's not hard to decipher that the Targaryen civil war would be over by this time, and the Empire would be on the brink of decimation, or worse, the eventual extinction of the Dragon Lords. Dunk appears in this changing situation when the last of the dragons are dead and people have lost their beliefs about what the creatures even were. Parker mentions that it wasn't even much of a dragon and might well have been some sort of fancy lizard or a gnarled thing that couldn't even fly. The House of Targaryen has lost all their luster, and that's precisely why they would enter the Ashford Meadow Championship, a place they wouldn't even have bothered to step in given it's a little backwater town in the middle of Reach. However, Prince Baelor, Prince Maekar, and Prince Aerion do come into Ashford to portray that they're still in charge. The crowd's reactions are toned to exhibit the fall of the Targaryens in the townsfolk's eyes and further highlight their precarious position, having lost their only source of power, the goddamn fire breathers. What kind of Westeros can we see? The first season, which is set to have 6 episodes, will be completely based on the books in the Tales of Duncan Egg series, and going by the poster which just dropped and took the internet by storm, this one absolutely stays loyal to the source material. The showrunner even promised Martin, who's the executive producer of the series, that he would showcase the gritty lower strata of Westeros. This one, set 50 years after House of the Dragon, is akin to 14th century Britain, where people are cold and gritty, toiling every day. The city is filled with brave middle-aged knights, and they really are in no position to hype magic and palaces. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms will attempt to touch on the slight glimmer of hope that lives on amidst all the mayhem. It'll showcase the common folk on the bottom rung of society and depict the building of Westeros from scratch without glorifying the king and queens or the lords and ladies. Rather, this Westeros would be about the barmaids, prostitutes, performers, and the like. Parker noted that it wouldn't exactly be a fantasy epic, and Dunk would be the sole heartbeat of this show. He said to find a totally different version of this world that everybody seems to know so well was very, very appealing. We can't deny that we're super excited to witness a world that was once fraught with mysticism and riches being repainted in a different and, quite frankly, strange manner. The show will especially be important for Game of Thrones fans who still love the uncertainty and question the rise and fall of dynasties. We bet we're not the only ones wondering whether it was the dragons, the army of the dead, or just politics among houses that fueled the age-old rivalries. That's the eternal beauty of Game of Thrones that Parker wants to cash in on. It's that never-ending curiosity, and we want plausible answers to how the Seven Kingdoms were before the happenings of this book. What does Martin have to say about the upcoming show? Martin, who has expressed some disapproval for House of the Dragon, went gaga over the filming of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, particularly for how faithful it's been to his original idea. Martin took to his blog and wrote that he loved all the episodes of Season 1, so we can hope to witness something mind-blowing, fingers crossed. Duncan and Egg have been very personal to the author, and he could not stop praising the actors for their beautiful portrayal of the characters. Martin also appreciated the rest of the supporting cast and gave us a heads up to look out for Sir Lionel Baratheon as Laughing Storm Tansel. We sure will, sir. There's another Easter egg that Martin hinted at as well. This series is going to be packed with action, but there's a twist. We should be prepared to witness fight scenes stemming from the coarse ground level, because this time around there's no dragons or White Walkers or even grand battles. Given how adaptations tend to deviate from the actual source material, Martin's faith in A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is a sure-shot sign that this one would deliver aptly. To be honest, we're not ready for any more disappointing climaxes in the Game of Thrones franchise. Will A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms fall victim to this flawed trope? As much as we don't like talking about the ending of Game of Thrones, it's time to walk that painful path once more. The show ran for 8 seasons with 10 episodes till Season 6, 7 in Season 7, and only 6 episodes in Season 8. This sudden reduction in the number of installments raises questions of pacing. Something similar happened with House of the Dragon, with the first season sprawling over 10 episodes and suddenly being crammed into 8 in the next season. This time around, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is hitting screens with just 6 episodes, so there's a legit question about whether a lot of story building will just be cut off or forcefully rushed. I mean, it involves a lot of the Targaryen lore, dude. Fitting it within just 6 installments seems a little tricky. Nonetheless, let's tie our hearts in hope again and believe in the creators. Who is Sir Lionel Baratheon? Sir Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm, stands in the line of succession to Storm's End. British actor Daniel Ings has been roped in to play the part, but he's otherwise famous for his role as Commander Mike Parker in The Crown and Luke in Lovesick. Daniel's also been a recurring face in the teen show Sex Education. In Parker's series, Daniel would perhaps be making a mark at the Ashford tournament in 209 AC, fighting against champion Sir Robert Ashford. We anticipate that this will be a thrilling sequence where both the knights might break their lances. For those who aren't familiar with the book, we're not going to give away spoilers about how the combat ends, but just know that Lionel isn't someone who accepts defeat easily. No spoilers, bookworms, we're better than that. Later, he would go on to become a part of the famed Trial of Seven alongside Dung. Who is Prince Daeron Targaryen? You might have noticed that we didn't mention Prince Daeron on the long list of Targaryens because he never really wanted to be one. Yup, that's right. He's the oldest son of King Maekar I, and when he was sent to participate in the Ashford tourney, he had zero interest in it. Daeron thus chooses to run away with his brother, Aegon, and like him, shaves his head to hide all the Targaryen attributes, basically to get rid of his recognizable silver golden hair. The actor, known for his portrayals in Outlander, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and My Lady Jane, Henry Ashton, has been chosen to play Daeron. When both the escapees meet Dunk, Daeron is alarmed by him for some reason and warns Aegon to stay away. We already know that he made up his mind. Finally, when Sir Roland Crakehall searches for the lost Targaryen boys, Daeron flatly lies and tells him that a robber knight abducted Aegon. Dunk and Daeron are expected to have a complicated yet dignified dynamic, but the most interesting part about Daeron is his dreams. Somehow, a catastrophic one, where a dragon falls on Dunk, comes true. Don't worry, it's a mystery, but we're not going to spoil how that one ends. The tale between Tansel and Duncan. As with all great stories, our hero in this show isn't without his love interest, and it's expected to be none other than Tansel, the Dornish puppeteer we mentioned earlier. Makes sense why Martin told us to pay attention to this character. Dunk is set to meet Tansel in the Ashford competition, where she would be performing with a larger group. The Australian-born woman, Tamsin Crawford, who got her big break in Hulu's Tiny Beautiful Things and recently landed an Aussie series, Swift Street, playing Tansel. Enamored by her beauty and skills, Dunk invites her for a drink, which she turns down, but their flirtation starts instantly. Dunk even acts as a knight in shining armor for Tansel, unintended, who was nearly subjected to the infamous Targaryen cruelty. However, Aegon will soon create trouble in Paradise by attacking a group of entertainers, leading to Dunk's involvement and arrest, followed by trial by 7. You're thinking, why did Aegon get all worked up? We're going to give you a mini spoiler. It had to do with dragons getting harmed. Who is Sir Steffan Fossaway? As we said, audiences will be seeing a new house, the House Fossaway of Cider Hall, and Sir Steffan Fossaway as a knight of the house. The English actor, Edward Ashley, has been cast to depict the ambitious knight who turns out to be a betrayer. Backstabbing is no news in the Game of Thrones franchise, and when Dunk needed fighters at the Ashford tournament, Sir Steffan Fossaway switched sides, prompting his cousin and squire, Raymond Fossaway, to join Dunk instead. Raymond Fossaway then rises up from a squire into a respectable knight, and he'll be portrayed by the British actor Sean Thomas. When is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms expected to release? It's time to address what's been on everyone's mind since the beginning of this video, the release date. Thankfully, a tweet was posted from the official Game of Thrones account on October 6, 2025, which read, "This winter, spring is coming." With the trailer out, now we know that on January 18th, 2026, this pretty much confirms that it'll release in January 2026, and the show will help us lift our post-holiday blues. So, save your Christmas cookies because we're about to dive into the Seven Kingdoms all over again. Egg has nothing but innocence in his eyes, who, for some reason, grows an admiration for Sir Duncan Tall. From the glimpses caught in the trailer, the two share a pure bond based on affection and respect. Let's not ignore that the duo enjoys their fair share of banter. Egg, who wanted to reach Ashton, offers to be Dunk's squire if the latter would take him to his destination. During their time together, Egg jokes that he knows about all the good knights, but never heard of Duncan. Duncan, too, scares him by mimicking a dog's growl and warns Egg not to steal from him. But the true chemistry that we're about to witness here can be spotted in just the fleeting moments where Egg screams, "Get up," to a losing Dunk in the Ashton tourney and encourages him to cease his own luck. This time around, we can expect to see some heart-touching moments between a little boy and a noble knight, unlike all the treachery and bloodshed that previously overtook the Game of Thrones franchise. Marvelous verdict. Okay, here we are. Even after all these years, getting into the timeless fables of the Targaryens in Westeros has been one hell of an adrenaline pump. Sure, House of the Dragon quenched our thirst for history digging, but a show that is potentially ready to portray how and why Game of Thrones functioned in the manner it did is extremely intriguing to us. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms doesn't give any false promises of opulence or mysticism. It's a grounded, character-based story, deeply rooted in honor and chivalry. There's no gray area here. Either we'll love it, or we might find it hard to adjust to an unfamiliar version of Westeros. Nonetheless, even if some of us have already dug our noses into the pages of Tales of Dunk and Egg, it's worth checking out how the cinematic adaptation would pan out. Either way, that's all we got for you today. We'll see you in the next one, though. Also, it might be a good time to go on a Game of Thrones marathon because, you know, winter is coming. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.